Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Portillos Room. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of today's podcast. I do apologize before we get started about any background noise. My cat is in my room right now eating, quiet all day, but decided to eat as soon as I started to record. And then also, I don't live by myself, so my parents tend to make a lot of noise, and there's thin walls. So if you hear little background noises and stuff, it's just sorry about that. I will try to record in a more quiet room or when, no one's home in future episodes. But before we start, I also wanted to mention that for future references, I'm going to try to keep my podcast within an hour to 30 minutes to even 15 minutes. I just don't want to, go too much if I really don't, have anything to talk about. I'd rather just keep it to what my topics are, and then whatever, I talk about to that point, I'll end it there instead of just talking gibberish and, just to drag it on. I don't want to drag it on, so I don't want to do that. But I do want to thank y'all for coming. Like I said before, my room is, it's got that mood right now. Got them lights and the candles, and it's nice and relaxing here. Even though, when you say candles in a dim room, kind of, sounds like we're going to do it, but we're not. We're just going to discuss some things and let you know about some stuff that's happened to me and, some ideas about my songs and things like that. And as the episodes progress, we'll have new things to chat about. But today, the first thing I'd like to start off with has to do with my music. Now, I don't know if y'all know this, but if you do, cool. If not, let me fill you in. I've been doing music since I was in high school, and every time I make a new song or anything, I like listening to it and comparing it to my old songs just to see how much I've progressed in my craft and how much I need to improve and how much I have improved. And honestly, I can say I'm really proud of how far I've come and just how much I've been able to accomplish on my own. And there's a lot of songs that back then I mostly just wrote based on other songs that inspired me. But as I started to go along more in my life, I started to write more about my life in my music, but with a little twist, changing it, because even though my stories are interesting, I still wanted to give it a different aspect so that the song could take a different direction. And there's two I wanted to talk about today. And I want to start off by letting you know the first the song, like the actual, story of the song, and then what inspired the song itself. So the first one I wanted to start off with is The Girl in Red. Now, this song I released last year, and it took me, I say a good couple amount of months to finish. But this song is about a girl that goes to a club every Friday night, and nobody dances with her because she's really attractive and people are very intimidated by her. And the guy in the song notices this, so on this night, this guy decides to dance with her, and he does. And as everything's going good, he kind of starts to wonder, why is it that nobody dances with her? Like, is there something wrong about her? Something going on here that I don't know? And as the song progresses, it becomes more of a falling in love song to like a, oh damn, I'm in danger song. Because, later in the song, the guy realizes that the reason nobody dances with this girl is because she's a little nutty. She's a little crazy. And her addiction is murder. Which, that kind of implies she does something sinister to the guy she dances with, which is why nobody really dances with her. And as the song progresses, it's up to the audience to basically figure out, kind of make the conclusion on whether he died or not, whether she did something to him, whether he went with her or not. And yeah, that's pretty much the song itself. Now, obviously in real life that didn't happen because I'm still here. I didn't get killed, but my heart did a little bit because some girl did some pretty messed up things. Toxic girl from back in my past that was nothing but, when you meet a girl that you find attractive and you think something might be going on, when it doesn't go in your way, obviously it hurts a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. And basically the story behind the actual event of what inspired this song was that I used to go to clubs a lot with my friends, and I used to love going to dance and drink and smoke, have a good time. And the reason why was because this guy used to play 80s music. And it was just retro, synth wave, dark wave, like gothic type of music. It was a goth scene, if anything, emo type of stuff. And I would go a lot and I just would dance my heart out because that's literally the only reason I would go. And obviously, if a girl danced with me or if anything else happened, I was okay with that too, but I wasn't really counting on it as much. So there was a night that I was dancing, feeling myself. I also felt I was pretty, I was dressed really good that night. And then all of a sudden, this girl that had been watching her like dance by herself because she was really feeling herself too. I was thinking about dancing with her, but I just didn't have it in me to approach her. But the funny thing is that she approached me at some point because it was weird. It's like all these people split apart, and then there was this little gap where she just came towards me, and I'm just like, okay. And then she starts dancing with me, and I couldn't believe it because I was like, what the hell? A girl's actually dancing with me. And then not to mention, she was kind of attractive too. She was cute. So to me, that was like, oh, okay, this is kind of dope. And as I danced with her, I started to notice she had a lot of tattoos, which was cool. But there was one that was really recognizable to me, which was the symbol of La Plagas from Resident Evil 4. Now, if you don't know what that looks like, it looks like that. Put up on the screen right now. That's basically it. And immediately I said, okay, this girl's got to be a gamer girl or something. Or maybe she just got the tattoo because she liked it, or whatever. So I started to discuss more with her about it, and turns out this girl's a Resident Evil 4 freaking fan that she's obsessed with it and just basically told me everything there is to know about it. And I was just kind of impressed by that. And, we kept dancing all night, and it got to a point where, like, it got intimate. She let me, like, put my hands on her hips and all that. And I was being respectful because I didn't want to, like, do more. Like, maybe she just wanted to dance, but I didn't want it to get to that point. But she was cool with it. The funny thing, though, was that there was this freaking group of trolls around the club that were getting closer to us. And what I mean by trolls is I mean her friends. And the reason why I'm being mean towards them is because they literally were just hating on me because I was dancing with her. Because at some point, they, like, crept up to her, like, as if I didn't notice. And they were whispering in her ear. And she was just basically letting them know that I was dancing with her. And like, most of them made this, like, ill face. So, like, oh, with that guy? And I'm not gonna lie, it made me mad, but at the same time, another thing, I may not be the most handsomest guy, I'll say that, but I know I'm not ugly, like, ugly, like these girls. These girls straight up were Halloween decorations, and they were just mad because I guess when she was dancing with them earlier in the night, there was more guys with them, but when she peeled off, everyone just fucking made a little circle for them because they're like, hell no, we ain't getting close to these chicks. Not to mention they took up half the room, so that could give you an idea what they look like. So yeah, they were just being messed up, and she didn't care. She just ended up staying dancing with me, so I was like, okay, cool. Towards the end of the night, we exchanged information. I let her know that I would come to these events a lot, so she kind of pitched the idea of giving her a car ride and whatever about the next time and all that. And even then, at that point, I felt, yeah, maybe this girl just wants a ride from me. So I didn't want to, like, look too deep into it or, like, start liking this girl or something. But, the best of me was just, like, hoping for the best with this girl, seeing where it goes. So a week goes by, we talk about the event, and we kind of agree the day before that she's going to hit me up early to get a ride, and we'll go carpool, whatever. So that day I got ready really early, and I was just waiting for her to let me know so we can head out. My friend at the time was debating as well about going, but I told them, just let me know because I'm gonna leave at a certain time, and if I'm not here, then you're gonna have to drive yourself. The reason he wanted to is so he could drink, because that mean I would drive for him. And it got to a point where the time of the actual event starting was coming, so I was like, damn, this girl's taking her sweet time. And then all of a sudden I get a text from her right when the event starts, and she says, oh, I'm here already. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but wasn't I going to give you a ride? And not to mention, why didn't you tell me earlier? Like, I was literally waiting for you the whole time so I can go. At that time, I wasn't very confrontational about things, so I just kind of let it go. And I told my friend, hey, let's just go. So we head out. And I was just thinking, I'll just meet her over there. That to me was already a red flag. But me at the time, being how I am, I gave the benefit of the doubt to people. And this was just like okay, whatever. I just let it go. So we get there. My friend and I decide to go get some drinks. And then we're at the bar. And the bar is like in a separate room from the dance floor. So we go in there and there's a bunch of tables. And as we walk in and we're waiting in line, I see her sitting with her friends. So I shoot her a text. Hey, we're here. And I'm at the bar. And then she texts me, oh, okay, cool. I'm sitting with my friends. And then I told her, okay, cool. I can see you from here. I'm like, I'll join you in a bit. Just after, let me just grab my drinks. And then I also let her know that my friend was going to peel off because he told me, if you guys want to go dance, whatever, I'm not going to, get in the way of that. So I let her know that, it would just be us dancing and all that. The last text I sent her, I could see she saw it because I was being a little weird. I was just watching like her get my text because we're literally just waiting in line. Me and my friend weren't even talking. We're just listening to the music, jamming out, moving back and forth, just like, vibing. And then I see her look at her phone and she kind of puts her phone down and she doesn't respond. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess she already knows I'm here, so that's fine. So then we get our drinks, and after I get my drink, my friend was kind of like, hey, why don't you go talk to her? But the thing is, she was with that, circle of trolls, so I didn't want to walk into that and get eaten alive. So I just, I wasn't one to just barge into something. Even if I already talked to you and know you, if I don't know your friends, I'm not just trying to walk in there unless I know I'm okay, like invited. And it didn't seem that way with her, so I didn't want to just barge in there. So what happened after was we just sat down. And I sat down in the only seats that were literally right next to the door that led out to the dance floor. So I assumed that once she got up, she would pass and then she would just come say hi. And I just was thinking to myself, maybe it's her friends. That's why she doesn't want to talk to me. Because I've realized in my life that if a girl's with a group of her friends, her opinion's a little bit different depending on what her friends say. And also depending on how she is. Because some girls don't give a damn what their friends say. They'll go for what they want. And at some point, they all got up, and it looked like they were going to go dance because I could hear the song that started, and I'm like, oh, everyone's going to want to go dance right now. I see her get up, and she's coming towards me. I started to get a little nervous, but I was going to be like, hey, what's up? As she's passing by, she sees me, and I see her, and I go, hey, what's good? I smile, try to say hi, and she just keeps walking. Like, she legit just ignores me. I'm just like, what the heck? Like, did she not see me? And I'm right there in front of the door. Like, there's no way she did not see me. So at that point, I was kind of like, what the heck? And my friend kind of was like, damn, dude, did she just do that to you? Like, even he was like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. Immediately, I think to me was where I was just like, damn, she just ignored me. But in my head, like I said, trying to give the benefit of the doubt to people, I just assumed it was because they're friends. And I've seen this happen before. But then again, if a girl lets her friends do that to her, then I wouldn't really talk to a girl like that, because that just means that anytime her friends are around, she's just going to act like a different person. And to me at that point, I was just like, I felt sad about it. So my friend's like, fuck it, let's drink. So him and I just started drinking. And then we got to a point where we're ready to go dance. So we went to go dance together. And we're jamming out. He peeled off because there's like a little mosh pit that started. And then at some point, I see her dancing by herself. So I go, oh, okay, maybe it's my time to go say hi to her. Me with the still, trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. As I'm getting closer, I get to a point where I kind of pause. Like, something held me back. And I'm glad whatever that was did, because I just see this guy swoop in, grab her. They are dancing. He gives her a drink. They're drinking, and then they just start making out. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I immediately was like, okay, this is the reason why she didn't want to dance. She came with somebody else. But the weird part is, I looked at the guy real quick because, I was curious, and I realized I had seen this guy before. But the thing is, I saw him in her story, because that night after we met, she gave me her Instagram, so I started following her, and I saw him on her post, so I assumed it was like a friend of hers or whatever. But the weird part is, I'm like, okay, if she had a boyfriend or all that, because at some point she left with him, I'm assuming he was her ride. Why was she asking me for a ride? Were they in a fight or something? Because the way she was posting about it, it seemed like she was mad at him. And then I guess, I don't know if she was using me as to make him jealous or something, or if she was just using me as like a crutch because something was going on and they got back together the night. I don't know. There's so many reasons why, but it was just fucked up that she kind of left me hanging like that, and then she ignored me like I didn't even exist. She could have just explained it to me and I would have understood, but people don't do that. So literally after that, I was just like heartbroken. I forgot about it. I drank more and I just danced my heart out all night. The next couple days, my friend and I were discussing it, and I still felt kind of hurt about it. You know, obviously he's like, dude, don't give a damn about it. But you know how we are. We like to hurt on shit that doesn't really matter. So I got to a point where I just said, you know, fuck this. I'm over it. But I needed like air this out somehow. So then I ended up writing that song, The Girl in Red. Except I changed the twist, because the twist is she fucking broke my heart a little bit. She killed me a little bit inside with the way she treated me, and that. I know it doesn't seem like much, but at the time that did affect me a lot. Now it's just like something like that could happen, I wouldn't give a fuck. But I wrote that song. So in a way, I gotta thank her, because she made me help write a banger. But at the same time, you know, she kind of was kind of fucked up. And I remember deleting her from everything. I just never talked to her again. And I feel like I ran into her, or I saw her at the club again, but I just didn't even care at that point. That's that song. No, that's the story for that one. The next one, Echoes. This song was a bit different, because this one was more based on an event that happened in my life from like a really bad breakup. So the story for Echoes has to do about this guy that is having a hard time, you know, forgetting his ex. That's all he thinks about. He can't really do anything. His head's not straight because he's just that's all he's thinking about. So there's a night he decides to take some pills to knock himself out because he's done with everything. But the thing is, the pills he takes are not good, and they're slowly killing him in his sleep. And he's hallucinating that she's there with him, and that he's hearing her voice left and right, and he doesn't know where it's coming from. He's basically saying that even though he's dying in this situation, that she was way more of a threat than death could ever be. So in a way, death is a sweet escape from this situation. That's the whole story of Echoes. It's not as like crazy as The Girl in Red, but this was one of those songs that I wrote back then, when I was like going through a pretty bad time in my breakup. Now, like I said, the actual story was that when I first broke up with my ex, we had been together close to, it was 2.5 years, but it was getting close to 3 years. And the relationship ended because it was one of those situations where I was getting ahead, right? And in myself, I was improving, but in a way she was holding me down. And the way she was holding me down was that she didn't want to improve herself. And it was difficult for her because I was basically her crutch, right? Which meant as long as I was around, she wasn't going to improve herself, but because I would catch her every time she fell. Like, I was learning to catch myself in case someone was never there. She was always depending on me. And it got to a point where I couldn't take that anymore. And she would always tell me she was going to change, she was going to do just different things, and it just never happened. So it hurt because I was really in love with her, but I couldn't torture myself in that type of relationship. Not to mention her parents also had a pretty big influence on the way she acted. She just kind of let her parents dictate her life when she was already old enough to basically, you know, say what she wanted, but she didn't. She was very closed off, very like afraid to say what she wanted, and that pissed me off because I was the same way, but I was breaking out of that, and I was trying to teach her that. But the thing was, it just was one of those situations that, you know, you can't force someone to change. So it was just, for me, I preferred not to be dragged down because I felt like I was starting to not move ahead because she was holding me down. And it sucks because when you really care about someone, it's hard to be the one to break it off when you don't want to. But I realized if I didn't, she would never get ahead. And, you know, obviously that's what happened. So those first weeks when we broke up, it was really tough. And I remember getting so fucking high that I literally felt I was dying in my bed. Like, I think I took a shit ton of edibles and I had smoked like a bunch of joints. So my heart was just pounding like a drum, you know, just on like 200 beats per minute. It was crazy. And I just felt like I was going to die. But I realized, you know what, even if I did, it'd be so much more sweeter than having to stay alive and live with this, you know, guilt of having to have broken up with her because of the situation. And, you know, that's how it was at the time. Obviously, I'm past that, thank God, and, you know, I'm in a better state in my life, in a good relationship with my girl and everything, and like, that's just a thing of the past. But obviously, because of those events, that made me obviously write that song, and that's why it was a little bit more personal. It was a bit more darker. A lot of my songs were a bit more darker back then, but because it was a lot of depression and a lot of things that was really hard to overcome. And this past year of 2023 was honestly really rough for me because I went through a whole break off from a huge friendship, like a huge group of friends that I've known forever, and having to basically find my own identity outside that group really brought me to a standstill because I really didn't know who I was. Now I do, but at the time I didn't. So that really put me in a really hard depressive episode to the point where I was pretty much suicidal. And it was really bad. It was really bad, I'm not gonna lie. But I look at it now and I'm grateful for it because it's weird. I don't know if you guys are religious or not. I am not really about religion. I'm more about God. Like, I believe in God and in the Bible and a lot of those things. But the thing is, I don't preach as much because I know not everybody believes that, and I don't like spitting my beliefs on people either. But for me, I believe God saved me from that, and at the same time, it's what I asked from Him. You know, people like to pray to God and ask Him for things, but they think He's just going to snap His fingers and give you what you want. But He gives it to you in the most oddest ways. And the way He gave it to me was obviously putting me through that situation to become the stronger, wiser, and smarter person I wanted to be. But it wasn't just going to happen overnight. It happened through a series of events and chapters that, now that I look back on it, as much as it sucked, I would probably go through it again because I would want to have everything I learned right now, because I'm in such a better state now than I was before. I quit a lot of things and I've improved myself, not just for God and for my parents and for my family, but for myself, because a lot of us are stuck in these holes for so long, and I was one of those people. And it's still me climbing out, you know, out of certain parts, because there's still little bad habits here that I'm quitting myself from doing, you know, things that I don't need, but I did it because that was my crutch from healing. I realized I don't need it as much anymore. Like, I used to love smoking. I used to love drinking a lot. I used to love doing a lot of those things because I felt free and happier and didn't have to worry about things. But I realized what it does is it just numbs you for a bit, but then the problems are still there. But once you deal with those problems and you put them to bed and you really forgive but don't forget, obviously, you realize you don't need those things. Because now when I smoke and drink, if it's not like for a big occasion like a party or I'm with friends or something like that, then just doing it just doesn't give me the same feeling anymore. So that's why I just quit. You know, I just stopped because I don't need that. I really don't need that to be happy anymore, because I realized I'm happy with all the little things in my life that I wasn't appreciating before. But like I said, it took me to go through that event with those friends and everything else to just kind of get to this point where I'm at now. And all I got to say is if you're going through something really tough right now and you don't know where to turn, look towards yourself. You know, look towards the universe. If you don't really believe in God, that's okay. I know not everybody does. I do. But if you want to believe in something, use the universe, because the universe does exist. There's lots of evidence of that. If you are one of those people who want evidence to believe in, the universe will listen to your cry, will listen to what you want. And you have to remember, anything that you put out, that's what you're going to get back. So if you keep putting yourself in these shitty situations and you keep saying that life is this, life is that, life is always going to be that. Because you got to remember, your reality is the way you shape your world. So whatever you see, I think I said that twice. Whatever you see, whatever you smell, whatever you feel, that's exactly what you're going to get. That's why we could all be looking at the same thing, but we all see it in a different light, because our world is the way we see it through our eyes. And a lot of people see it through Earth eyes, or the planet's dream, like this one book I read called The Four Agreements. They say it's the planet's dream, not your dream. Your dream is the way you vision the world and the way you see it. The planet's dream is the way society sees things, but obviously it's not your dream. So you have to basically see the world in a better light, because then you start to notice all the good things. Because if all you do is notice the bad things, then that's all you're going to see. But if you notice all the good things in your life, that's all you're going to see too. So you can shape the way you see things, you know, see the positive side of it. Stop the whole, why is this happening to me? And more of the, what's the purpose of this happening to me? Like, why will this event change my life? And a lot of times we don't look at it that way. We just go like, damn, this just happened to me for no reason. But sometimes there is a reason. It's either karma coming back, or it's just a way to break you out of that loop you've been asking to break out of. But it's just not clear. You know, you got to read between the lines, and a lot of people don't do that nowadays, because we just are online so much, we forget to live our life out here and forget that there is a lot going on besides what's on their computer screens and all that. And what I mean by that is just seeing the reality of what the world is with people out there, talking to people, finding yourself, and doing things you love and things you may not like either, because that's how you discover what truly is real to you, as opposed to doing what everybody else tells you. There's a lot of lessons I've learned. I could go on all day about it, and I'll probably talk about it more in other podcasts, but all I gotta say is that I'm in a better place now, and I know everyone could reach that, because I never thought I could, and I was so far down that hole that I never thought I was going to be to this point, and look, here I am. For me, it's because of my faith in God, my faith in myself as well, knowing that I could pull myself out of it, knowing that if I fixed myself, then everything else would come. And I think the biggest metaphor of this that I got in my life was when I was making my gaming videos, I was looking for a hard drive or a flash drive, something that I could like save my videos on to transfer them to my computer. I asked everybody if they had one. Nobody had one. So I assumed I had to go buy it, because if nobody has it and I can't borrow it, then I'm just going to have to get my own. Something in me was like, you know what? I have a box of a bunch of shit I've saved over the years. I'll check that. Maybe I have something in there, like a little flash drive. And I kid you not, I opened the box. The first thing I find in one of those was this big terabyte Seagate hard drive disk that like I could save just so much on there. And literally that was in my closet the whole time, and I had been searching everywhere for it. And at that point in my life, I saw that as a metaphor of, damn, I looked everywhere else but inside my own place where I live for the thing that I needed, and it was always there. So I see life like that you are sometimes searching for so many things everywhere else, but you forget to look inside of you, or you forget to look in the one place you're always at. And that tends to happen a lot. I really do believe that happens. And it's an experience, but thankfully reading books, reading the Bible, being more spiritual in my journey and this stuff that's going on in my life, that's helped me, forgive a lot of the things I've done, because we all make mistakes, and the things people have done to me and all that. And it's nice. And I feel we can all reach that, but it takes you to put yourself in that position. And it doesn't happen overnight. That's why I say Rome wasn't built in a day. It happens little by little. One day you just wake up and you feel like, I've arrived. I'm here to where I wanted to be. And then once you get to that point, you find how you can keep going. Not focusing so much on what happened before. Not focusing so much on what's going to happen tomorrow. But focus on what you got right now in this very present moment. And it's honestly a really beautiful thing. But yeah. And it's crazy though, because, years ago, I would always think about that. And I would think about it, especially on my drives, because I used to do DoorDash a lot back in the day. And I used to always think about my life while I was driving with some bomb-ass food in my car. But then again, I was also thinking about eating the food. Which reminds me, I had some pretty crazy stories when I used to do DoorDash. I had some crazy experiences. I think the craziest one was, there was a time, I think I was going towards Burbank to go leave, like in one of those fancy buildings, to go leave some food. I remember that it was like a Popeyes order. It was a big order. And it was hard to find this guy's apartment. I finally did. So I had to go inside. I had to ask for a code. The guy gave me the code. I go inside. It literally looked like I was inside like a cruise or something, because it just was huge hallways that would just go on forever. And then I finally reached his apartment. I go ahead and I go knock on the door, as usual, because I've done this before. You knock. If they don't answer, you leave it there, take a picture, let them know. So I knock. Nobody answers. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I put the food down. As I'm going to put the food down, the door, I hear like it unlocks. It slides open. And when the door opens, I look up a little bit, and all I see is a gun in a hand. And I go, well, I'm about to get shot. Like, I kid you not. I remember thinking, fuck, I'm about to die right now. Like, I'm about to get shot. This sucks. Literally delivering Popeyes. But my instinct was not to freak out or anything. I just literally looked up at him with the bag in my hand and said, delivery? And immediately I could tell the face he had, because his face looked kind of serious. it went to like, oh yeah, the pop, and he was on something for sure because this guy looked fucked up. Like he was like he had taken every drug in the book, and he goes, oh, okay, and then I could see him hide his hand, and it's because he was tucking his pistol into the back of his waist, like into his pants or whatever. And then I gave him the food. He like nodded thanks, and then he just closed the door. And when he closed it, I got that big whiff of weed, and I was just like, yeah, this guy's doing something in there. But I think he was expecting somebody else. He didn't expect it to be me. Which, then again, it's like, dude, you ordered, so would you forget? I mean, then again, if you're on drugs, I guess you would forget, but it's like he forgot that he ordered food, and he thought I was gonna like jump him or something. But that was the craziest thing. I remember seeing that gun and just being like, fuck, that's scary. And, you know, I had weird experiences, like that when I would do deliveries. There was one where I got lost in a building. I think that was up in the NoHo Art District, because I remember it was so confusing. I swear to God that building was like a maze, and every other door, every other thing looked exactly the same, that unless you lived there, you really couldn't find your way out. I remember delivering the food easily, but to find my way out took me like almost half an hour to get out of that building, because I kept returning to the same place. At some point, I just thought I was in the back rooms and I was lost, and that was it. But I eventually got out, and thankfully I didn't get towed because I wasn't parked in the best spot. But that was a weird experience. I remember there was a time I was delivering up in Ventura, and it was a big meal from Panera Bread. And I remember that I was waiting for them for quite a while once I arrived, and then I called them because they just weren't coming out, because they said they were out there. I'm like, I don't see anybody here. So she goes, oh no, we're in this house of blah blah blah. And I go, house? ? I'm like, this is an apartment. And I just hear the girl go, fuck, like in the background. And it's because they were in like Kansas or in Kentucky. They weren't in LA. They weren't in California. And I guess they forgot to change the address. So she was like, damn. She's like, I didn't change the address. So the order went to my apartment. We're not there right now. She explained it. And then I talked her through it on how to get the refund and all that. But she just pretty much, before she hung up, she was just like, well, enjoy, I guess. Because she knew I was going to keep all the food. And it was like the bombest food ever. It was a bunch of like ham sandwiches with like soups. I remember there was smoothies. There were bread, like banana bread and all this other stuff. There was like muffins. It was just so good. And I remember I just brought it home to my family. I was just like, here you go, guys. Here's dinner for tonight. Yeah, but I had quite the fun experiences. I also remember really shady people who would just say I didn't deliver the food, and it was fucked up because you get striked for that. And I legit had to talk to DoorDash about it, and I told them, listen, I delivered the food. Here's the picture of the food, because the guy claimed I didn't. I spoke to DoorDash, and they go, oh yeah, we have it in the records here. That's weird that he said he didn't. Obviously, they realized it was because he wasn't trying to, he was trying to get a refund and get the food. He didn't win, because at the end of the day, they go, okay, we're not going to refund him his money. Like they told me that we're not going to refund him because, and then they took the strike away, which was a surprise, because a lot of times getting customer service for DoorDash was the worst, and having to get stuff removed took days, but I got lucky with that one. And I just had like a lot of interesting experiences with that job. And this was during COVID too, so I remember wearing masks, going everywhere. Not to mention the girl I was dating at the time too. Because of her, I had colored my hair, so I looked like a freaking kid with cabbage. Like I looked like a Cabbage Patch Kid for just walking around with a fucking ball of lettuce on my head. But it was good times though. I remember just like always finding new restaurants to go to, but because the food smelled so good that I would just go try it myself afterwards. And the pay wasn't bad, but it was funny because then a couple years later, post pandemic, apparently DoorDash wasn't paying you as much as you should have, and everyone was put into like a lawsuit. I remember I got part of the portion because I did work for them for a good while, and I think I got like $300 or $400 from that court case, which was kind of cool because they were basically underpaying the people, and there was a lot of money that wasn't given. And I honestly felt that because there were sometimes deliveries that were far, and you would just get like $5. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm not getting compensated for the gas or the actual pay. Like, this is if anything, I had to depend more on the people's tips. That's why I would do deliveries in the more you'd say more richer areas, because they would actually tip pretty good. I think the most interesting out of those was this place I went to. It was up in like Beverly Hills. It was like hidden. This place looked like Jurassic Park to get inside. And to go in, you had to go through the security, and you had to give them your ID so they can know who you were. Like, you couldn't just go in. And they told me they had to like tell you how to get to the house, because once you go past the gates, all your signal, everything gets cut off unless you live there. So I was like, that's kind of weird. It felt like that Get Out type of thing, type of area. And the guy goes, okay, you know what? You're gonna get lost. So he takes out a fucking map. A map. I've never seen a map in my life until this point. At least to go into like an area like this. And he draws it out for me. I remember putting the map on my dashboard and just following it. It was so cool. I'm like, damn, this is how all my ancestors got around. And literally their house was the biggest house. Like, I was passing house, and every house is just getting bigger and bigger. And I said, there's no way these can get bigger. Literally, the last house at the end was the biggest freaking house I've seen. That shit looked like a fucking mansion. Like, that thing looked like straight up like a building that... I don't even know the best way to explain it. It was just... Let's just put it that it was enormous. And the guy came out, and I got there quick. And he's like, damn. He's like, you were here. You were here fast. He's like, thank you, I appreciate that. You know, I was like, yeah, no, I was like, I wanted to get your food here warm. You know, I try to give the best customer service I could. Let them know that I was, obviously, sure, a good tip, but it was mostly because I want people to enjoy their food warm. I don't want it to be all spoiled, So I got there quickly. All his food was in perfect condition. So he goes, damn, that's so cool. And he complimented my Jurassic Park shirt. He's like, I really love that movie. He's like, I love that you have that shirt. And he's like, all right, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one. So as I'm going out, I follow the map back out, and I obviously couldn't complete the order until I got out. When I got out and like put the what's it called? Like, I confirmed that I had delivered it. He already confirmed that I had dropped it off. My tip came in, so I believe it was like $40 for the actual drop off, or maybe more. I can't remember, but. These I know these people got rich people money, because they literally tipped me $75 for that little drop, and it was like 10 minutes away. It was crazy. I was just like, whoa. Like, please God, give me more deliveries in this area. But at the same time, I was kind of scared too, because it's weird. You just go in there and then everything gets cut off. Like, none of my signals, nothing was working. So I'm like, damn, rich people got some weird shit going on over there. But it was cool. It was quite an experience, and would I do it again? No, I probably wouldn't, just because sometimes you get into situations like that where I got lucky, something bad could have happened, and then not to mention, sometimes it's just too much. People don't, like, it's not even about the tip, it's just the company doesn't even pay you enough for the delivery sometimes, so it's not really worth it. I don't know how it is now. I mean, if I really had to, I probably would. But regardless, though, it was an experience to have. And it was cool. I had a good time. But regardless, though, that was pretty scary, that gun situation. Which reminds me, one more thing. I kind of had an experience like that too. Not delivering wise, but I used to park a lot in different neighborhoods around where I live. And the thing is, I would smoke a lot. And I used to love just smoking wherever. I just didn't want to smoke by my house because I didn't want my parents to know. And the thing is, I don't know what happened, but in my area here, there's a lot of Romanian people that live in this area. Obviously, I don't know what shady shit they're doing. I don't give a fuck what they're doing. It's none of my business. I don't care, right? But I think somebody thought I was following them, or maybe they thought that I had stolen something of theirs, because I drove home one day and a Mercedes, pulls up behind me. Just stops right in front of my car, and then the guy gets off and he's coming towards me. I can see he's Armenian, but he has his hand behind his back, and I see this in my rear view mirror, and I go, fuck. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And I just get ready. I get ready because I'm like, if this motherfucker gets next to my door and he has a pistol, I'm gonna open this door and bash his ass with it and just fight for my life right now. So he comes up to me and he knocks on my window and he goes, is this your car? And I'm just like, In my head, I was thinking, please God, don't make me say some stupid sarcastic shit because I wanted to. I'd be like, no, bro, I stole it or some shit. Like, I was gonna say something stupid, but I didn't. And I go, yeah, I'm like, I just bought it a while ago. Why? Why do you want? Why do you want to know? And I told him with like a really like smug, like an angry face. But I also put my hands down, like in a position where he could see them but couldn't, because I didn't want him to think I had something. Because at this point, he had the checkmate on me if he did anything. So he just looks into my car. He looks around, and it's kind of like he goes like he really looked at the car, and I think he figured it wasn't the car he thought, as if like, oh shit. And then he noticed that there's cameras around my area too, so he just gets in his car and he dips, and I'm just there like, what the fuck was that? So it turns out when I drove around that neighborhood, because I have to pass it every now and then when I go like to work or something, or if I'm going to the store, there's a car that looks exactly like mine. But the only difference is that the rims are a bit more pimped out than mine. So that's the only difference. So I'm assuming he probably thought that was a car and he didn't notice, because he looked at the rims in the car. So I'm guessing that's what it was. Either that or he thought I was fucking spying on him or some shit. I don't give a fuck what the fuck you're doing, dude. I got my own life to live. You guys can do whatever shady shit you guys want to do, but I don't care about what you got going on. I'm literally just out here trying to live my shit. But that was another experience I had like that, where, I mean, he could have had a gun, honestly, or he could have just been faking to scare me, but I was just ready for a fight. And that was a crazy event when that happened. I remember telling my parents, my dad's like, yo, fucking blah, 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 just talking shit, you know, like these fucking people don't understand that nobody gives a fuck about what they're doing. Like, it's true. Sometimes you could just be minding your own business and people be doing shady shit. That's what causes them to be so paranoid. You know, when you're doing something you're not supposed to, that's why you're always paranoid. Like, is somebody watching me? Is somebody seeing? Because you're doing something you're not supposed to do. That's why you do those things. Sometimes you're not being watched, but you feel that way, but because you know you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And that's why I try not to do stupid shit now. Like, go smoke or drive high or some shit like I used to in the past. Or, like, go, you know, somewhere to smoke. Because it's just, like, I could be minding my own business, but people might think otherwise, and I don't want to be in those type of situations. That's why I recommend also not to be going out too late, guys, because sometimes that's, you know, I've learned from my parents, and my parents learned from theirs, is that night is when all the crazies come out, and that's when a bunch of crazy shit comes out. Because that reminds me of another thing, too. One of my friends once wanted me to help him push a car to a garage, like a mechanic garage, but he couldn't do it until it was late because obviously, you know, there was no traffic. So I was gonna do it, but I ended up falling asleep. I ended up getting tired and I ended up telling him, hey, I'm not gonna go. So he's like, oh no, it's fine, I got another friend to help me. So they went to go do that. They dropped it off, and then they went in his other car, which was this Lexus that was tinted. It just looked like a sus car at night. They went to the liquor that's by my house, try to go get, you know, something to drink, like some snacks and shit. And I guess it was already closed, and there were some guys parked there. And when they were pulling off, I guess these guys got scared and thought something was going to happen, that they started to fire guns at them. And they literally popped off a couple shots. My friend said that he pulled out and they started following them. But obviously his car is pimped out that he got away, because that shit just took off. And then when they noticed is that one of the shots actually got into the vehicle, but because my friend is skinny and tall, the one that went with him in the passenger seat, it went like right under his legs, like by an inch maybe or more. So he got lucky. And it's crazy because I think to myself, man, I was saved that day from not going by God, my angels, whatever it is that protects me, because I am a big guy and I always sat in the front. Because I couldn't sit in the back, I always felt so tiny. Like back, I was not tiny. I felt so too big for the back. So my friends would always let me sit up front because I'm a big dude. And essentially, if I would have been sitting there, most likely that shit would have hit me somewhere in my leg. That would have been really fucked, and I probably could have bled out, or even worse, you know. So basically, sometimes when your parents tell you not to be out late at night, they don't just say that because they don't want you to go out. They actually know that there's some crazy shit. And I've been learning that as an adult, you know, now, and from my parents, from the stories they've told me. So now going down my generation, when I have kids, I'm going to tell them the same fucking shit, because I don't want them to go through some shit like that. And it's, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's cool, you have a story to talk about, whatever, but like, it's not. It's a scary situation when you're facing death a little bit too close, a little much closer than you would want. Honestly, like I said, I feel somebody's watching over me. And that's why I pray every day when I wake up and thank God that I'm, alive again. Because those situations, it could have gone south really quick, especially when it comes to a gun. It's just one click and it's over. So I got to thank goodness that I'm alive. And, y'all out there, just be safe, be careful wherever you go, watch your surroundings, have fun, but still be vigilant, because there's little crazies out there, people trying to tickle your buttholes and shit out there. You don't want that to happen now. But anyway, we're getting towards that hour mark, but I'm gonna finish off here because that's pretty much all I really wanted to talk about. I will have newer subjects and new topics and things like that to talk about next episode, but those are the things I wanted to discuss today. And I want to thank y'all for coming to my room. I will add more little how do you say it, little what's the word, I'm having like a little brain fire right now. Well, so like a segment basically in the podcast about certain things I want to talk about, and just keep them, go as time goes along. I'll add new segments about certain things that we could just talk about, so we can have different things to discuss every now and then for every week. And then of course I'm going to have more people on my podcast, so it's not just me talking, because I like to banter with people back and forth, share ideas, not just spat my own stuff, because I already know what I like and what I see. I also like getting people's perspective on certain things, so that should be fun too, and hear their stories about certain situations. Sorry, a lot of gas today. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming to Portillos Room. Hopefully next time it is Portillos Room with a guest, or Portillos Room with something new. We'll see. But thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for stepping in. Have a beautiful day and have a blessed one. See y'all in the next one.